Welcome to Mastermind Conversations, a Pro Insights podcast, powered by Geek in New York, where we don't just talk, we geek it. We break down complex topics, research from trusted sources, and bring your expert insights, real-life stories, and actionable tips, all in a clear and engaging way. So get ready, it's time to geek it with Mastermind Conversations.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping into the pretty fascinating world of corporate investigators. Think of them as, specialized private investigators, but really focused on what businesses and legal teams need.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
We've sort of waded through quite a bit of material, YouTube accounts, bits from investigation handbooks, guides, all to give you a clearer picture of this, often unseen profession.
Right. And it's important to maybe forget the stereotype you see in movies, the lone wolf type. Discretion is vital, absolutely. But the reality, it's often about really careful research, thinking strategically, and getting solid facts.
Exactly.
So our goal today in this deep dive is to give you a really good handle on why you might need one, who uses them, what they actually do, how to, pick a good one.
Vetting part.
Vetting, costs, the sheer amount of research involved, which might surprise people, and then maybe some real stories. And at the end of the day, what the benefits are.
Perfect. We want to cut through the mystique, right? And just deliver practical stuff that's thorough, but also, quick to grasp. So we're covering the why, who, what, vetting, costs, research, stories, and benefits. And speaking of getting a clear picture and reliable results, this deep dive is supported by GIS Global Investigative Services.
Ah, yes, GIS. They're a top-tier investigative firm, really known for delivering expert and, importantly, discreet solutions. They handle, a whole range of corporate investigation needs.
Like what specifically?
Oh, things like supporting complex legal cases, uncovering fraud, doing really thorough background checks. They always aim for, precise and reliable results. And what stands out is their consistent 5-star reviews. That really says something about their professionalism and client satisfaction.
It's a solid endorsement.
It is. So if you're in a situation where you need truth, need evidence, maybe give them a call. The numbers are 516-369-7303 or 866-342-5745. Basically, let the experts at GIS handle the digging so you can focus on your main job.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Why would a company or, say, a law firm even think about hiring a corporate investigator? Don't internal teams usually handle this stuff?
That's the logical first thought, yeah. But relying only on internal investigations, it can have some serious challenges. A big one is just impartiality, or even the perception of it.
How so?
Well, imagine there are allegations against, say, a senior manager. Can the internal HR team really be seen as completely unbiased? Then there are just practical limits, time, resources, maybe not having the specific skills needed for complex financial fraud or, widespread misconduct.
So bringing in an outside firm, maybe like GIS Global Investigative Services you mentioned, adds that layer of objectivity and maybe the specialized skills too.
Precisely. Outsourcing it to specialists? It generally means it's going to be more effective, more efficient, especially with sensitive stuff. Bribery, corruption, major employee issues. These external experts, they've seen it before, they know how to handle it professionally, and crucially, discreetly. The key thing is, an unbiased third-party look leads to more believable findings.
And it's not just about being neutral, right? I mean, the kind of evidence they can gather must be important too.
Oh, absolutely. A huge benefit is their knack for getting evidence that's legally solid, irrefutable sometimes. Think documented audio, video, digital trails. That kind of stuff.
And that holds up better.
Definitely. That sort of evidence carries real weight, whether you're confronting someone internally or, if it ends up in court. It can be the make or break element in resolving something or proving wrongdoing.
Something that jumped out from the research was this idea that licensed investigators, they kind of have different access.
Yes, that's a key point. A licensed private investigator operates under specific legal rules. This lets them gather info in ways that, say, you or I, or even an internal company person, just can't.
So not illegal stuff, though.
No, not illegal. It's about knowing the boundaries, how to conduct surveillance legally, how to make inquiries properly. They understand the lines like what's observation versus what could be legally seen as harassment, for example. An untrained person might easily cross that line without realizing.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the cost? People must hesitate, thinking, this is just another big expense.
Sure, cost is always a factor. There's an upfront investment, definitely. But you have to weigh that against the potential cost of not dealing with the issue properly. Fraud can cost millions. Legal battles are hugely expensive. Reputational damage.
So the investigator might actually save money long term.
Potentially, yes. A good corporate investigator knows how to be efficient, how to focus resources to get the key information without, dragging things out unnecessarily. It's really an investment in preventing much bigger losses down the road.
And can they help stop future problems too, not just solve the current one?
Exactly. Good investigative firms are skilled at spotting vulnerabilities a business might not even know it has. Weak data security, maybe compliance failures, even things like fake customer information being used. Finding these risks early means you can fix them before they cause a massive problem.
Right. What about whistleblowers? If someone internally raises a red flag, how do investigators fit in?
That's a critical scenario. Responding quickly and thoroughly to whistleblower claims is essential. Using external experts for this, it shows the company is taking it seriously, ensuring an impartial look.
And that helps if regulators get involved.
Hugely. A well-documented professional investigation strengthens the company's position significantly if, say, government agencies start asking questions later on.
Okay, so we see the why. Now, who typically hires these investigators? I'm guessing it's not just giant multinational corporations.
Not at all. Actually, lawyers, legal professionals, they're a big part of the client base. Attorneys often need investigators to, really build strong cases.
What kind of support do they provide?
All sorts. Detailed analysis of police reports, maybe. Looking for holes or inconsistencies. Running deep background checks on witnesses or other parties involved. Verifying alibis. Spotting contradictions in witness statements. Little details that can completely change a legal strategy.
And you mentioned it's not just criminal law.
Right. Family law is another big area. Think about difficult child custody cases or domestic violence allegations, guardianship issues, even just figuring out where all the assets are in a messy divorce. Objective findings from an investigator can be incredibly valuable for the lawyers there.
Okay, lawyers, family court. What about businesses doing internal investigations like we touched on?
Yeah, that need really cuts across all sorts of businesses, big and small, any industry really. Any company might run into situations needing a neutral expert look. Employee misconduct, from minor stuff up to major corporate fraud. Even law firms themselves sometimes hire specialized corporate fraud investigators to help with their clients' cases involving complex financial crime.
So really, if you're an attorney needing case support, a business owner worried about something fishy, or even someone in a corporate role dealing with tricky internal issues, an investigator might be the answer.
That sums it up well.
Yeah. All right, let's shift to the what. What do these corporate investigators actually do day to day? I imagine it's a mix.
It is definitely a mix. Some of it is probably what people picture, like detective work, but yeah, with that corporate angle.
So like surveillance, stakeouts.
Surveillance is certainly part of it sometimes, using discrete methods, specialized gear maybe, to monitor people or places without being noticed, getting video, photos, documenting activities. But, it's often less dramatic than TV. It usually involves a lot of careful planning and, frankly, hours of patient observation.
Okay, so observation. What else is in their toolkit?
Background checks are fundamental. Really digging in to verify information, uncover relevant history, assess someone's reliability. Asset tracing and recovery is another big one, especially in fraud cases, figuring out where money or assets went.
And due diligence? I hear that term a lot.
Yes, due diligence investigations are crucial, helping clients make informed choices for, say, a merger, acquisition, or even just a partnership, checking out the other party thoroughly to mitigate risks.
And when they're doing those internal investigations we talked about, what's their role there specifically?
Primarily, they're impartial fact finders, systematically gathering evidence emails, financial documents, other records, and conducting thorough, unbiased interviews with everyone involved. They're trained to spot inconsistencies, assess credibility.
You mentioned documents. What about public information, stuff that's out there for anyone to find?
Well, finding it and knowing what to do with it are different things. Analyzing public records is a huge part of it. Accessing various databases, official filings, DMV records, UCC filings, those show loans against property. You'd be surprised what you can find in seemingly boring records. They often hold key pieces of the puzzle.
And nowadays, social media must play a role too.
Oh, absolutely. Social media analysis is increasingly vital. It can show connections between people, reveal patterns of behavior, sometimes even provide direct evidence. Investigators need to know how to navigate these platforms ethically and legally, of course, to find relevant information.
What about tech? Are they using spy gadgets?
It's not quite James Bond usually, but technology is important. Maybe doing electronic sweeps to check for hidden bugs or cameras, ensuring a client's privacy. But, and this is crucial, they have to operate legally. No illegal hacking of emails or bank accounts. That's strictly off limits.
Got it. That paints a much clearer picture of what they actually do. So if someone decides they need an investigator, how do they pick the right one? How do you vet them effectively?
Vetting is so important. In that first chat, that consultation, ask specific questions about their experience with cases like yours, their strategy for your situation, their grasp of the legal side.
Don't be shy about asking tough questions.
Absolutely not. Ask for references from clients who had similar issues and actually call those references. Find out if they were satisfied.
What specific things should you nail down?
Definitely get a clear breakdown of the costs, retainer fees, hourly rates, any of the potential expenses. Get an estimate of the timeline. How will they keep you updated? What kind of evidence do they realistically expect to gather? Also, ask how they handle confidentiality and data security.
It sounds like it's more than just qualifications on paper. It's about trust, too.
Exactly. You have to feel comfortable, confident in their professionalism, that they get what you need, and that they'll deliver ethically and legally. Ask about licenses, qualifications, the actual experience of the people who would work on your case.
What about online reviews?
Definitely check online testimonials and reviews. They give you a broader sense of their track record. Like we mentioned with GIS Global Investigative Services, those consistent 5-star reviews, they tell a story about reliability and quality.
Let's go back to cost for a second. You mentioned retainers, hourly rates. Can you give a bit more detail on what someone might generally expect?
Sure. Costs really vary. Depends on how complex the case is, how long it might take, where it's located, if it needs specialized skills, things like that. But generally, yeah, you'll likely see an upfront retainer fee and then hourly billing for the investigator's time. Some might offer flat fees for very specific tasks, like a standard background check.
So communication is key there, too.
Absolutely. That's why getting a clear agreement on costs before they start is essential. Working with a reputable firm, again, like GIS, usually means you get that transparency in billing. No nasty surprises, hopefully.
Okay. Now, something that came up in the sources was the sheer amount of research involved. Maybe more than people think.
Oh, definitely. It's a critical part. Often happens behind the scenes. Corporate investigators spend a lot of time doing deep research, sifting through databases, reviewing public records meticulously, analyzing all the information they gather to find those key links or insights. It's really a mix of fieldwork and intense analytical desk work.
And it's not just finding new info, but checking what they're given.
Yes, exactly. A good investigator never just takes the client's word for everything. They verify the initial information, they check out leads that come up. It's crucial for making sure the investigation stays focused on reliable facts and doesn't waste time chasing dead ends.
Let's make this more concrete. The research mentions some real-life stories, some quite interesting ones.
Yeah, real cases definitely show the range of what they deal with. There was one example, I think, where investigators found out a trucking company looked totally legit on the surface, was actually being used for money laundering and other crimes.
Wow. So uncovering major hidden crime.
Exactly. Shows how important they can be in finding really significant financial wrongdoing that's deliberately concealed.
There was also something about finding inconsistencies in someone's story through investigation.
That happens a lot. Someone presents a certain narrative, right? But a thorough investigation, maybe comparing their statement to hard evidence or other testimonies, can reveal contradictions that basically expose the truth. Really vital in legal cases or internal disputes.
And the surveillance stories could be unexpected.
Yeah. There was that anecdote about surveillance catching warehouse workers doing drugs, but also catching the soda delivery guys stealing DVDs. It just shows you might set out to investigate one thing and uncover totally different kinds of misconduct. Need that attention to detail.
And then there was that, frankly, bizarre one about finding a clock made of human bone.
That's certainly an outlier, but it illustrates how unpredictable the job can be. Investigators might stumble onto something completely outside the original case, something serious enough that they have to involve the police. You just never know.
And maybe a slightly less gruesome one, the insurance fraud claim. Debunked by video.
Right. Those cases where clear video or photographic evidence just completely contradicts someone's claim, they really highlight the power of solid evidence. So yeah, these stories, they show the variety and sometimes the sheer strangeness of corporate investigations.
Okay, so pulling it all together now, What are the main sort of bottom line benefits of hiring a corporate investigator? Why should a business or law firm really consider it?
Well, the benefits are pretty significant, I think. First and foremost, getting that solid, legally admissible evidence that's gold in court, or even just for internal decisions. Their work can drastically reduce fraud risk and losses. And they provide critical insights, intelligence really, that helps leaders make smarter decisions, especially in tricky situations.
And they bring that professional distance, that discretion.
Absolutely. They know how to handle sensitive stuff professionally, keeping things quiet, minimizing reputational harm, ensuring the investigation is fair and unbiased, which, frees up the business leaders or the lawyers to focus on their main jobs. They can trust the investigation is being handled properly by experts, like the team at GIS Global Investigative Services.
Good point. And just to round things off, we should probably briefly touch on the ethical and legal side. Again, they can't just do anything, right?
No, definitely not. They are strictly bound by laws and ethical codes. They have to respect privacy rights, follow legal procedures for gathering information, no breaking the law to get results. Impartiality is also key, especially in workplace investigations.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive, corporate investigators, they really offer a vital service for businesses, for legal teams, providing skills, discretion, finding truth, managing risk in all sorts of complex scenarios.
That's a good summary.
And if you are facing those kinds of challenges, remember our sponsor, GIS Global Investigative Services. Their consistent 5-star reviews speak volumes. Give them a call at 516-369-7303 or 866-342-5745. Let the GIS experts handle the investigation so you can focus on what really matters for you.
And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Consider the unseen risks, the unanswered questions maybe, within your own organization or your legal cases. Ask yourself, could bringing in a corporate investigator be the thing that finally brings clarity, security, maybe even just peace of mind, something worth thinking about?
That's a wrap for this episode of Mastermind Conversations, a Pro Insights podcast powered by Geek in New York, where we don't just talk, we geek it. We hope you gain valuable insights, learn something new, and are ready to apply it in business and life. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. It helps us bring you even more great content. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and always geek it.